Welcome back, Lightning Returns fans. We are in the second half of our demo, and as promised, we're going to take a look at my own personal custom schemata. As you can see, I've set up 4 different schema during the cut fade, which represent various aspects that I'll go over. We'll go ahead and start from the Dragoon down here, about HP and effective healing in the game. In particular, stacking HP is a very good defensive tactic, so I've set up the Dragoon as a secondary defensive garb to be applied in difficult situations, which are theoretical because there's nothing dangerous in this tutorial. The more HP you stack, the more defense you have against incoming damage, because damage is linear. If you have 2,000 hit points and you take 500 damage, you lost a quarter of your hit points. But if you have 10,000 and you lose 500, then you've lost much less. The percentage of your HP is transferred between garbs, and you might not always have the ATB to block an attack, but you'll always have the opportunity to switch to a defensive garb, and getting in the practice of that can do a lot to increase your battle toughness. Now, as for HP recovery, we have 2 skills visible here in the tutorial. Lancet steals 1% of your HP back when you strike an enemy. The more HP you have on the garb, the more effective it is. Mediguard is the same way. Mediguard restores 2% of your hit points for every 10 ATB that you get spent, so it's basically 1% per 5 ATB, which is a pretty good ratio. It's a good idea to have these, as I mentioned, on tougher garbs, but they don't have to be on tougher garbs as long as you have a strong defensive garb. Having a good shielding mechanic is a good idea, and here I've set Mediguard on here mainly because it adds 150 to max HP. If it didn't, I would have put a tougher defense command in, because the Mediguard command doesn't damper damage as well as other commands. Attached, we also have the Blitz command, which is an efficient form of damage that launches on the 3rd hit, and Punt is another launcher. It launches on the 6th blow. Note that this launches in 60 ATB, and Punt only launches in 30. Okay, so you can tell the difference in terms of ATB efficiency. Blitz has a very strong stagger effect, but doesn't really apply too much extra damage on the finisher. Neither does Punt, for that matter. Okay, let's move along to the next costume. These are actually a secondary. I don't include the Equilibrium or the Dark Muse because they are essentially inferior. The Dragoon comes with extra stagger capability and increased physical resistance, which makes it very good for a tanking form. The Black Mage, on the other hand, has increased magic damage and more max ATB. The Red Mage boosts physical damage and magic damage, and the Heart Stealer gives you that extra ATB speed and stagger capability. The Equilibrium and the Dark Muse are both blank, so there's not much reason to use them except for the approved attack commands that are attached, which can be useful, especially the Dark Muse's attack command, which has a 0.70 multiplier. But really, the Lancet command on the Dragoon is good, and there's good commands attached to all of these, especially compared with some of the other things. So let's take a look at what makes an effective schema. In this particular case, I've got a magic damage dealing one, a physical damage dealing one, and a stagger one. Now, some people might wonder, why don't you have the Dragoon for staggering? Well, the Heart Stealer gives just as much extra stagger capacity, so rather than attach the Wyvern Lance and Beatdown for the jump attack to Dragoon, if we attach it to Heart Stealer, we can perform those stagger attacks more often. Having a small increase to max ATB is simply not as effective as boosting the ATB recharge speed unless you get sloppy. The Red Mage, for the damage dealing effect, it does have that 8% boost. We've added Heavy Slash, which has a plus 80 strength in this particular game. And Light Slash is a 5 ATB attack with a 0.65 attack ratio. This makes it extremely efficient damage. It's probably the best attack available in the tutorial. Considering the ATB cost versus the attack power is a good way to determine what attacks are really your money makers here. Heavy Slash is included not only for the the strength boost, but the stagger power. And the ability to discard lots of ATB quickly, because Light Slash will take time to unload, and has no stagger power at all. And finally, in the Heart Stealer, we've got the Evade effect, which is useful in its own right, I'll explain later. Deprotect, which can bring enemies down much quicker, and the Beatdown attack, which is our stagger hit. Leaping Rush is locked in. I would remove it if I could. It's not especially effective. But Beatdown is a very powerful stagger attack, which is made stronger by the extra stagger power from Heart Stealer and the Wyvern Lance, which means you get a lot of knockdown power. It's a very strong combo. The Dragoon can do the same combo, but with the Heart Stealer you get better ATB. As for things you should keep in mind when you design your own, remember you generally need to have within your 3 schema at least one very solid guard command. You also need to have spells which deal heavy damage, at least one form of magic damage, and an efficient attack for every schema. So here we've got Blizzaga dealing magic damage, Quick Freeze as a fairly efficient attack, not great. Blizzaga is actually a little more efficient, but it's a spammable move. Here we've got Light Slash for efficiency, Heavy Slash as the big unload, and there's a guard command, Buster Ruin, to deal magic damage. On this one, we actually use Deprotect to deal magic damage. It does have a 0.4 ratio. It's not efficient, but it can do the job. We have not really much of a spammable attack, but Beatdown is fairly, well, not really that efficient, but it gets the job done. And besides, this is our stagger form. So ideally, we'll be using the Heart Stealer to apply a stagger and then go. And Leaping Rush isn't that bad in terms of damage efficiency as long as you land all 3 hits. We'll go demonstrate the different moves on the schema and just get out in the field and fight some stuff. Let's pick a fight. Here we go. Now, there's a spot right here where Xaltis loves to spawn, and if you just run into it... Now, where'd you go? You sneaky. Anyways. They like to spawn in these doorways, and if you run through the doorway at full speed, he'll hit you. Oh, he got me anyway. I tried to hit him first. Oh, well. Here we go. So, let's go ahead and unload some spells on this guy just to warm him up. Gonna bounce him a couple times while my gauges come up. All set. Beatdown knocks him down in one shot. Deprotect him. And we start Light Slashing. Go ahead and unload a nice hard hit with Heavy Slash. No worries. Catch. Okay. There we go. And he's staggered again. And this is a little boring, but it's a very effective way to bring Xaltis down in a hurry. Catch. Okay. The jump attack will get up there and hit his head. I can't evade this. Okay, good. I'm out of ATB. I wasn't paying attention. Alright, we'll launch him instead. Now that he's down, I can hit his head directly, and even a single swing of Beatdown will get him once he's been knocked down. So we're just gonna finish him off quickly here. Get a few more hits. A few charges there. Pop him up. Come on. Just in time. You have to be careful using Blizzaga on some of those quicker attacks because it does take time to animate. Okay. Okay, let's do this. Got your head. Alright. Moving right along. So that gives you the idea of what these 3 can do. Their efficiency points. 2-minute KO. Very average. We'll use some tricks to bring him down even faster next time.
But when they actually look into it, they can't pick up anything at all.
Gotcha this time. Alright.
We'll be safer without you.
We're going to start this battle off with an End Frost Potion. The minute the number stops spinning, we'll apply a Warrior's Potion. Get ready to block. Well, what? Ah, here he comes.
It's your most valuable treasure.
Knock him down. Deprotect him.
Let's do this.
And he's got no HP left. The fight's over.
This is the only way to salvation.
And Frost could turn Light Slash into an ice attack, which just devastates him. So you can see how you can overlap effects to get very high, very fast clear times. We're going to change up the kit, actually. I'm going to move one of my skills up so I can show off a new move. Let's see here. Go to the Red Mage, my damage dealer. And rather than applying Heavy Slash, we're going to switch in Frost Strike. Okay. So I can show off another fun little quirk. Hopefully we will get a non-Zoltus enemy at this point. It would be good to have something else. Oh good, some niblets. Okay, this'll work.
Say your prayers.
Okay, so here we got, we're going to go ahead and get rid of one of these guys. Out you go. Okay, that kills him off. Block this. There we go. Now, note the damage on Frost Strike. I'm getting about 100 damage a swing. Watch what happens when I use an End Frost Potion. I actually get 1.5 times the damage, and the particle effect gets gigantic. Ow. This is important. Frost Strike can really actually boost its power, and I assume all elemental attacks can, if you include an elemental booster potion. In theory, this could be extremely strong if you upgrade, say, Frost Strike to a very high level by synthesizing, and then add Warrior's Potion and something like an Enfrost Potion, which applies that element. You'll get that stacked damage, and you could have an extremely powerful, very efficient attack. In this tutorial, though, the version of Frost Strike we have to work with is kinda squatty, so it's not really as efficient as other methods. We're gonna go ahead and change it again. Let's see here. We're gonna swap out the Frost Strike attack for Charge Strike. I'm gonna show off a different move. Let's go! There we go. Get on in there. Okay, pop him up. Now, Charge Strike is an attack that goes directly to a target, but as you can see, it has a limited range. Note that just tapping it can knock an enemy up. So you can spend 10 ATB to get this effect on an enemy. This makes it a very effective technique for juggling. If the enemy strafes or moves from side to side, then the attack will miss. So you want to be careful about that.
You can't read me.
Now I can get in range, so this attack doesn't miss. There we go. And I can just stall using Charge Strike until Blizaga's back. It's not getting much damage, but it's getting some. And it keeps the knockdown effect going. Handy little trick, that. Okay. We have another trick. We'll have to fight a Zoltus to show that one off, though. We're going to try to one-hit KO Zoltus. Alright, folks. Here we are. Thanks to the power of movie magic, we're looking for a Zoltus to fight. I think I hear one. Okay. Let's do it. Get ready.
I have to win.
Pour on a few of these. Overclock. Land a whole bunch more. Deprotect. Beat down. Warrior's Potion. Now the Enfrost Potion. Start charging. Here we go. Now keep an eye on my warrior's potions. They'll start flashing when they run out. I've got to launch the attack before then. Good night, Irene. That's how you one-hit KO Xaltis. The big problem is getting all of the buffs to align. If you activate the warrior potion at the start of the fight, it will have worn off by the time you've got both staggers applied. You also don't have time to take the boss's tail off, but then you don't need to take the boss's tail off. It's interesting how you can chain a charged strike together with a second ATB gauge if you can properly time the overcharge. The key is that charged strike will release when you've got less than 10 ATB remaining, so you can't hold out until the very last second. Until you've got about 2 pips left is as long as you can hold it. I hope you've had fun watching.